Welcome to Acorn to Oak with Pennie Quaile-Pearce and co-host Matthew Donnachie. Within each acorn, there is the DNA that strives to be a mighty oak tree. All it needs to reach its potential for greatness is to be activated. You are the acorn. On this show, we will share with you the tools and guidance you need to grow into the person you are meant to be. And now your host, Pennie Quaile-Pearce and co-host Matthew Donnachie.
So hi guys, we were just having a little bit of a laugh before we started on air about the Lucy update last week. Totally took us out. So you obviously heard a different show that was recorded, but we're back again this week, live and kicking. And it's just really good to have phoned through and got on air. So we're just congratulating ourselves at the moment.
It's always the technology, isn't it? It's so amazing, but then it sort of shuts down at the last minute. It's just like reboot.
I think that's what we were all shouting last week. Was reboot.
Yes.
I mean, it's amazing how frustrating it is when you feel that you're actually letting people down at the last minute. And so I think Chris did really well there. So this week we're going to be talking about the Shaman's Way. But before we start, I just wanted to just remind people that starting tomorrow, we're in a 7-day challenge, and it's about the mental diet that we're all on. So I'm sure there's a link to it on the radio site, and we've got loads of stuff about it on the in the community, Acorn to Oak community page, and we have a separate Facebook page all ready to go with all sorts of instructions. So I hope you can join us. It's a really amazing 7-day challenge where you're just monitoring thoughts and looking at how you're thinking. And basically it is something that I did probably about 15 years ago. And it literally turned my life around and made space in my own mind so that I could gain clarity and peace and calm, and have had enormous abundance since then. So it's well worth doing. If you're up for it, go for it. And, you know, I think we're charging something like £7 or in American about $10. But, you know, for the whole of the week. So for help and support via the website and via the Facebook page. So anyway, what we're talking about tonight is the Shaman's Way. And we had a pretty amazing time with Javier and Jess last night. We did a Zoom call, or I would say it was a satsanga. And satsanga basically means questions and answers, and just had a real blast with them last night for an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours. And they sang the icaros, which is an amazing experience to be involved in. So we just wanted to talk about them and talk about some of the issues that they've had during lockdown, which has been quite extreme for them. Obviously, they're in Peru, and you know, it's been really interesting over the last couple of weeks. It's like reconnecting with pocket groups of people all around the world as lockdown has sort of come to an end, and people feel that they can reach out again and come back into the community. And so they're both incredible shaman. And Javier, and I won't get this name right, so I may well hand it over to Matthew. His pronunciation of Spanish may be better than mine. It's Javier and Jessica who are the shaman, And Jessica's name is Jessica Ramirez Seopa. And Javier, how do I say that, Matthew? Javier?
I must admit, I have the same issue with trying to pronounce it.
Iverio Shahuano. Yeah, sounds good, but I'm sure someone's going to put me right at some stage.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to call them Javier and Jess for ease, and they're Peruvian shaman who are just outstanding. And I told a little bit of a story last night, actually, when we were on the Zoom call. When I first met Javier, I signed up to do a ayahuasca ceremony. Being a homeopath, I knew all about ayahuasca, and my husband wanted to do a ceremony, so we signed up for a ceremony. And we're talking probably about 8 or 9 years ago now. And so, you know, for me, you know, ayahuasca was not really the reason I went to the ceremony. I wanted to meet shaman and actually be able to talk to them one-to-one and gain some of their expertise in plant medicine. Because as a homeopath, obviously, you know, I'm very used to plant medicines. And it was during that time, there was somebody who was on the course with us who had a grand mal epileptic fit. And being an ex-intensive care nurse, it was, you know, my remit on this one was actually getting him into the recovery position so that he would, you know, he wouldn't inhale his own tongue or whatever. So as I did that, Alexandra, who was helping out Javier and Jess during the ceremonies, because she can translate, she speaks Spanish and can translate into English very, very easily. So I said to her, you know, you need to get Javier and Jess. So they came out, and, you know, the one thing I can do is see energetically. And I was sitting, obviously, just in case Javier and Jess wanted some, you know, orthodox medical expertise. But, you know, I had to laugh at myself later, and because Javier just came out, he sorted out this guy and literally calmed down and stopped the grand mal epileptic fit in probably less than a minute. And I sat there in absolute awe as I watched this shaman work. And it was, I can feel chills even going through my body now as I'm talking about it. That is what exactly caught my attention. I could not believe, and I just went, I need to understand this better. You know, as an expert in energetics, I saw the absolute unconditional love that this shaman was pumping into the aura of this guy who was having the fit. And it literally just calmed everything down. And literally within 2 or 3 minutes, his eyes were open and he was sitting up and talking to us. And as I said, that is what caught my interest. And I just went, you know, if I want to know more about this, I'm sure Acorn to Oak as a group wants to know more about this. And I went and had a one-to-one session with Javier and Jess just to check them out again, being, you know, somebody who's into planning and preparation to prevent piss-poor performance. I checked it out again. And then from that moment on, I just said to Javier and Jess, would you come and do a training for us at Acorn to Oak? And yeah, they were very up for it. And we had an astonishing weekend retreat called the Shaman's Tools, which then led on to a further 5 days of learning how to basically work with in a shamanic style. And we were really, I mean, it was just an incredible week where my husband Luke and myself and Javier and Jess were the facilitators for that week. And it was just such an amazing week. We learned so much from them. I gained a new respect for plant medicine again. But not only that, we started off the weekend with basically talking about the difference between energetics and the shamanic way. And it was really interesting because, obviously I would talk and then Javier would talk. And basically it's the same, there is only one truth. And it was just interesting seeing it very much from the shamanic point of view and then the energetic point of view. And when I talk about the energetic point of view, I'm also talking about the spiritual point of view. And, as I said, it was just astonishing. So I just wanted to hand over to Matthew so he could talk a little bit, because believe it or not, Matthew was there too.
Yeah, and what an amazing time it was. Every time I'm in the company of them, you could just tune in, and it just gives me a rush. And I just love the way they speak. I find it fascinating when the satsang, especially last night, when they tell their stories and the way they explain it. Even though I don't understand what they're saying, often you can pick up what they're saying, even though you can't translate it. And then when someone translates it, they think, oh, yeah, I kind of knew what they were saying there. But, yeah, I mean, just such an amazing energy about them, and it's so pure. And what it really sort of was interesting that came up for me last night was that when they were talking about their experience with coronavirus, it's like there's never any panic or fear or anything other than, well, this happened and we've done this to help with it. And turned out, I think the whole village got it, but I don't think they recorded any deaths or something like that. So but the way they explain things and the way they talk about how we should be living life in general, it's with peace and without fear and rushing around, and it for me really sort of brought home how I think in some ways coronavirus has done us good, because we're all stepping back and saying, right, how can we improve things? And people are improving lots of areas of their life. But before I sort of dabbled within sort of researching shamans, and when the opportunity came up to go to the weekend that I went to with Acorn to Oak and Pennie, I mean, I was just blown away. I had no idea what I had sort of let myself in for want of a better expression, but I hadn't really... I'd looked into it a little bit, but not a lot. And the depth of the information and understanding they have, it just blows you away. I know when we first met them, Javier was sharing a story that part of their journey to becoming a shaman is to go out into the jungle and survive for 2 years. And it brings up so many things when you think about, well, wow, that's an amazing journey to have to go on, and what an experience. And he was explaining that along different parts of that 2 years there would be a different connection at different times. So sometimes you were connecting with the elements, so it sort of like the Mother Earth and the fire, water, but other times you'd be working with spirit, but then also spirit of the trees as well, so the spirit of nature. And it was just so amazing to hear the way they explain things, and how everything is one. How you respond at work is just as important as how you're responding at home. and it's like the way they live their life. It's just so consistent, and it's so in the flow. I mean, I know people talk about the flow state and how to get into the flow state. Well, if you want to know how to get in the flow state, meet Javier, because he's an unknowing expert, because it really does. That's what it really brought across to me, was how I was ignoring so many parts of my life, as in not connecting with nature when I was out in nature, and not fully appreciating the elements. I'd moan because it was rainy, rather than actually take a breath and sort of feel the rain and sort of tune into the weather. I mean, wind is an amazing one. When the wind's really blowing and you tune into it, you can feel the power of it. So that's really what talk about stretching of consciousness, but it was they're talking of being in tune with life and everything. There's a cure to everything that we need a cure to on the planet, and we can go and pick it if we know which bit we need to pick. And it just made so much sense when you look back at disease and how we've evolved and all that sort of thing. We've overcome a lot more than we're capable of overcoming today. And that doesn't make sense. So we were obviously doing something better before than we're doing now. And it was just really opened my mind to the whole plant medicine, and that is... all of a sudden, it suddenly made sense. It's like, oh, no wonder we've survived so long, because we've obviously had a knowledge around this before, and I think it's almost like that knowledge that we need to relearn. Now there's 7 billion of us. We've forgotten, and we've listened to other stories and events and wonderful things, and forgotten about some of this knowledge that sort of the indigenous people and these tribes have, which is just so powerful. And when you see the happiness in their face, they've got everything. They really have. In the material world, I wouldn't know, but they probably don't have a lot. And it just goes to show that actually everything material is just a distraction, really. And if you have that pure connection with life and the planet and everything else, that's all that matters. And he is just a personification of joy. Literally, yeah. I think every time he smiles, it's just like you have to smile with him. His face just lights up, and Jess is the same. It is like for like. They're both absolutely amazing, and obviously I've had treatments with them, and they've just blown my mind. Just amazing people.
I think sometimes they blow your mind so that in order for you to get in your heart, and I mean that's what I tune in with Javier and Jess. They are just such huge heart-centered beings, and these guys can teach so much about the process of learning unconditional love, and just astonishing. And one of the stories I love about Javier and Jess was when they first came to the UK. They didn't understand what stress was, because they didn't have stress at all. They lived their life, as Matthew was saying, in the flow, and they just didn't understand it at all. But one journey in a car around the M25, which is our London orbital route, was enough to show them what stress was. And Javier just went, "Wow, how do you guys deal with this?" But it was just his face of pure joy. This is astonishing. Why do you all live like this? And, basically, it was Alexandra who just turned around and went, yeah, everybody lives like this over here. And just his incredulity of just, wow, that must be quite difficult.
No wonder they have mental health.
Too right. Anyway, we'll be back after the break.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hi, so we're back. So we're talking about the Shaman's Way, and we're talking about two outstanding Peruvian shaman, Javier and Jessica, and just basically sharing some of the stories that Matthew and I know and discussing their work. And it's just, as we were saying, it's just amazing to be in connection with some people who are such pure channels of unconditional love and joy. And Javier was reminding us last night, someone asked the question of, how do they do the healing tradition that they do? And, again, he was taking us back to the fact that if you can love yourself unconditionally, then you can love other people unconditionally. And if you can love other people unconditionally, then you can put a seed of healing within them. And it very much, I love to hear it again, because one of the things that Acorn to Oak is based on, one of our core beliefs, is unconditional love. And I only hope that I can show unconditional love as well as Javier and Jessica, because one of the things, again, we say, one of the questions we ask ourselves if we take on new students or we take on new clients is, can I love this person enough? And if the answer is no, then we automatically refer that person on to somewhere where somebody can love them unconditionally. And loving unconditionally is not, it's not, allowing them to walk all over you. It's not allowing them to anything, but seeing their, divine spark within them and helping them uncover that divine spark in a way that allows them to become their highest potential. And that's not, as I said, it's not wishy-washy love. This is the real unconditional love and acceptance of helping or guiding somebody from where they're at to where they would like to be, but also their highest potential. So it's not about being a yes man for them. It's about challenging them and moving them on with gentle, unconditional love and non-attachment. And, if you do that, it is amazing how people unfold or unfurl their petals. And they go from being a tightly closed bud into an amazing bloom. And, for me, that is my passion. When I see somebody unfurling what they have held so tightly closed, and they start to unfurl, and that's when their fragrance comes out. That's where their beauty expands. This is where you realise it's about personal evolution and soul growth. For me, I look at the words personal development and I go, yeah, that's good, and I shake my head and I go, I would prefer to guide someone so they evolve into that magnificent, huge, energetic being of glory with the divine spark within them just glowing out. And, for me, I know that Javier and Jess do the same. And having worked with them, I 100% respect the ways that they use to do that. And they are so, as I was saying, all of the truth is so very, very similar. We may use Rocky Road, they use, I don't know, bubble gum, ice cream. It's all ice cream. And I think it's just important to remember that all true energetic medicines, whether it be shamanic, whether it be energetic, whether it's spiritual, we're all coming from the same, core beliefs and the same core bedrock of encouraging people to get in touch with unconditional love for themselves and therefore unconditional love for others. So handing back to you, Matthew. I'll be ranting again.
Yeah. No, I'm sitting here nodding away, agreeing. And yeah, I mean, the thing I also love about them as well is it's so matter of fact and so black and white. There's no pink fluffy bunnies running around or anything like that. It's just pure truth, and I think that's what makes it so effective. I know we've learned within the field of Reiki, it's kind of like what makes a good practitioner and a bad practitioner. It's kind of like, well, the one that's done more work on themselves is going to be able to channel more energy through, and I think that's why when you look at Javier and Jess, it is just that there's nothing in the way, and it's incredible. I mean, seeing them work as well when we were working on the weekend. It blows your mind. I mean, I'd highly recommend if anybody can do any kind of work with shamans, I would highly recommend it. Especially if you've been interested but haven't dipped your toe in. I mean, for me, hearing a lot of sort of rumours and opinions around ayahuasca when I was younger weren't sort of the truth, and I'm glad that I learnt years later with a shaman rather than with my friends years ago, because I got the best benefit, which was the truth of it, that it can be a very profound and transformational journey. As Penny was saying, that you've got personal development, which is great, and doing a bit of mindset's great, and doing a bit of physical health's great, and doing some on the emotional is great. But you do them all of them together, you will completely transform your life. And that's why we say it's like about personal evolution, because it's like lots of people will try and sell you lots of different things and charge you 50 grand for each one, or you can find people out there that will charge you a lot less for doing all of them, and you have a complete flip around. And this is very much the journey that people go on when they go on a shaman's retreat. So, I mean, there's people out there that would spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on personal development. Well, I'd highly recommend spending a tiny amount of that and going to Peru, because it's where you can connect back with your soul, your true purpose, your authentic self, and clear the crap and actually make a difference and heal yourself. Because it's the other thing that I love about them when they're so truthful, is it's kind of like people, even they will very rarely sort of say that they're a healer, and it sort of, the term, I would class him as a healer, because I think they're like one breed that could almost are in that category, for me anyway. But people that do a bit of training and then say they're a healer, it's kind of like we're only healers for ourselves. But yeah, it's just very much just the clarity they have and the honesty around just how the universe works as well. That really interested me when it came up last night, and they were talking about the different energies, and saying that it's all one, and it doesn't matter where you see yourself drawing the energy from, whether you see yourself drawing it from the stars or planets or the sun or wherever. It could be just from the force. It doesn't matter, it's all one. It is the same thing. Our minds would like to make it different and all of that, but actually really when you know the truth, you don't have to make it anything special, it just is. And there's no ribbons and party poppers and all this stuff. It's just, it's basic, it's genius in its purest form. And we don't need to make it any more than that. And that's what I love about them, because I have huge respect for them. And I don't like this word and don't use it very much, but they're one of the people that when I'm in their company, I feel humbled by them, because I have that much respect for them. They blow my mind. Like I like to think that I've done a lot of work on consciousness, but it still blows my mind. And so, yeah, it is. You feel a little bit sort of humbled when you're with them, but also it's kind of being grateful that you're there and learning from these people and learning the truth, because it can be real easy to get lost in all the stuff around us, all the material stuff, the pressure from work, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. It takes all of that out, and it's like, well, who is Matthew and what would Matthew authentically like in this lifetime? And then you can, when you're doing it from that place of authenticity and unconditional love, wow, yeah, expansion, personified.
Yeah, you can't miss it, can you? I think what was really interesting was, you and a few other people were just there for the weekend, and then there was the people who were there for the full week. And it was really interesting to hear one of the comments made by somebody else, Adam, who you know is part of Acorn to Oak too. And, I think, Matthew, you actually said, I'm I'm really disappointed that we're leaving and we're not staying for the whole week. And Adam got it in a nutshell. And I just loved his comments. And he just turned around and said, you know, he says, I'm just really glad I came. And I just went, whoa, what, you know, talk about the shaman's way had rubbed itself off on Adam's thought process at that stage. And it was just so true. It was not about being disappointed about leaving. It was just being so grateful for being there. And just astonishing.
Yeah, we said, don't be sad you're leaving, just be glad you came.
Yeah. And you guys had such a had an interesting weekend because, of course, we were in the south of England, and you know what does the south of England do in the summer? Pour with rain, quite a lot of the time. And you guys had taken the opportunity to camp, so that you obviously you weren't needing to pay for the accommodation fee. And you were camping in the grounds, and I very surreptitiously handed you the keys to the classroom. I took one look at the sky and I thought, whoa, this is going to be interesting. So you tell the story now.
It was amazing because it was, it was summer, wasn't it? And we were thinking, great, it's middle of summer, we'll camp. That'd be a right laugh. We go fishing, we camp all the time. Yeah, that'd be really nice. Well, it just so happened that about 2 o'clock in the morning, all the heavens opened, and when I say they opened, I'm talking torrential rain. I mean, we don't often have like tropical storms here. But there was one that night, and within about half an hour, I mean, we had a decent quality tent, and we were getting wet. It was like, Jesus, we need a Force 10 tent or something. And I said to Adam, like, there's no way we're going to sleep, and I'm not going to lay here not sleeping and then go to meditation at 6 o'clock in the morning because I don't think I'll be able to find the calm. And it was like, right, we've got to make a decision. Let's go for it. And we must have only been 30 yards, 40 yards from the classroom. Well, by the time we hit the classroom door, we were drenched all the way through. I mean, giggling like there's no tomorrow. It was the biggest laugh ever. But boy, oh boy, was I grateful that Penny had offered us the key, because at the time you think, no, we'll be all right. Well, we weren't. And I thought, well, I'd rather be woken up in the classroom because meditation started than try and sleep outside till 5 in the morning, getting soaking wet, and then sod's law, you fall asleep at 5 o'clock and miss meditation. So it was just like, God. But it just added to the weekend. It was, for some people that would almost ruin it. For us, it just made it even funnier. It was just more of an adventure.
I think it was what was even funnier was you went through that experience, and then we had the most gorgeous day the next day, which was really sunny and beautiful.
Yeah, and it always rain at night here. I mean, you're grateful for it, obviously, but just not when you're in a tent.
But it was just, I think Javier just looked at you too, and it was just shaking his head, going, "Boys will be boys." Yeah, he just had that. He just had that look on his face. It was brilliant.
Yeah, we were like the two little kids emerging from the jungle because we got lost or something. But it's absolutely brilliant, and it does add to the laughs, because ultimately I think that's again one thing that just absolutely takes over. When you're in the company of them, and Acorn to 8 really is we run on having fun, and if you're having fun, you'll learn more, you'll let go more, you'll take more responsibility. Everything you need to move forward, you'll do more of, just being in that positive sort of space, and that's what I laugh because that's what I like, because it's always a barrel of laughs, and it shows that actually you can have the pure genius with the fun.
And I think you also...
I never thought you could, because of my experience of school, but then, yeah, that's most people's experience.
I think, that's one of the great things, is that actually you're talking about genius, and, it's liberating that inner genius within yourself. And, that's what getting back to your authentic self is all about. And, in order to do that, obviously, one of the things that we are so passionate about, and I know Javier and Jessica are also equally as passionate about, is getting your ego under control. Because it's only when you get your ego under control that you can express unconditional love, and you can move away from judgment and move away from assumptions, and actually just live and let live. And very much I think that part of that is very much where I see Javier and Jess is they are the ultimate examples of people who live and let live, and not just in humanity, but also in the plant life and animal life, and having absolute respect for every living thing. And that is the shaman's way. That is the shaman's way. Having absolute respect for anything that is living. Sometimes I would laugh with Jess, and Jess would be laughing at me because I don't have I have a failing within me, and I don't have a lot of respect for mosquitoes. and she was just saying to me, "Hey, come to Peru, come to the Amazon. You'll get a totally new respect for them." And I was going, maybe I will just leave that alone for a while. But yeah, absolutely, and it's realising that obviously everything has its place in energy, and everything has its place within nature. And sometimes I look at big, hairy-legged spiders, and I look at them and go, you stay that side of the room, and I'll stay this side of the room. Just keep your distance. I can love you from afar. You don't need to come over and visit me. And, and it's just literally taking yourself lightly enough to have humour in these situations, instead of going into fear or dread, or, as I was saying, judgment, or, assumptions. And when you can do that, and what I love about Javier and Jess more than anything else, is they do it with such innate grace, absolute innate grace. And, and as you said, when Javier smiles or Jess smiles, the joy, the peace, the bliss just shine through. And don't get me wrong, because I'm known within Acorn to Oak where I have some of those qualities, but also I can be very I wouldn't say strict, but I would say I will challenge you if you are telling yourself lies, and I'll just go, really? Is that the truth? And really, have you looked at it from other different ways? And I would say to you that Javier and Jess can be just as, I wouldn't say confronting, but very gently just saying, hang on a minute. If you've got these set of signs and symptoms, what are you doing to help yourself? And they will encourage you to help yourself as much as you can, because that's the empowering thing to do. And a true guide and a true channel will empower everybody else, not disempower them by saying, I can heal you, I can do this for you, I can do that for you. As soon as you get to hear people saying I, then you know it's coming from ego. So, is there anything else you wanted to say about that, Matthew?
No, I mean, only when you said about the challenges with mosquitoes. I've had a challenge recently with pigeons. And this is where you really have to catch yourself and find the humour in it, because the reason I wasn't all right with pigeons being in the garden, because they were nicking all the food that the little birds should have. So it's like I was all right with the little birds having all the food. I just wasn't happy with the big fat birds having all the little birds' food. And you're like, really? I mean, really? So
anyway, we're coming up for a break, so we'll talk to you after the break.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On. My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
So we're back, and we're still talking about the Shaman's Way. We're talking about Javier and Jessica, who are two wonderful and amazing Peruvian shaman. And so we've been waxing the lyrical about them and our experiences with them. And they run they have a centre called Spiritual Dimensions. And it's in Peru, in the Amazon forest, where they have groups of people who go down. But unfortunately, as you can imagine, during lockdown, and there's no flights, etc., etc., etc. So it's been a really worrying time for them over the last few months. So once I heard about it, I basically just went, how would I want to be helped if I was in that situation? And for me, it was about enabling them to be in contact with us. They've got many students and fans all over Europe. So for me, it was very much a case of how can I help and facilitate them being able to bring their wisdom back into Europe and America and everywhere else, because now, obviously, with technology, when it works, it's really good. And so we decided to run a satsanga, which is questions and answer time, and we kicked off with one yesterday, which was fantastic via Zoom. And, it's, again, via Zoom, the great thing is that they can actually see clients and they can actually provide people with the help and the support if they are drawn to the shamanic way, which I think, as I said, I have had many treatments from Javier and Jess, and I've listened to Jessica singing the icaros, which is what they sing during a healing ceremony and also during a one-to-one consultation, and it is quite incredible. And she has a fantastic voice, Jessica. So it's just looking at these different things, and some people will be drawn to this, and some people will go, no, I want conventional medicine, or I want mindset, as Matthew was saying before, or I want somebody who deals with emotional intelligence. And we tend to forget that actually, the whole of us, us in entirety, we're very holistic, and we tend to just think, okay, well, I've got a broken leg, so I'll deal with a broken leg. And actually, I don't know what the pains in my chest are all about, but I'll worry about those after my leg has been healed, not realising that actually the totality of us as an organism needs to be treated in a holistic way. So that's mind, body, spirit, emotions, and we forget that. And when we look at energetically, for me, it is the roadmap. When you look energetically, the first three chakras are all about the spiritual side of us. The fourth chakra, which is the heart, is the bridge between the spiritual and the physical. And then you've got, obviously your solar plexus, which is the rational mind. Then you've got emotions with respect to yourself in your sacral chakra. And your root is about your tribe. And it's about your physicality and tribe. So when you actually look at all of these things and realise that, this is what Javier and Jessica are working with. And this is what astounded me when we had the first couple of sessions at the Shaman's Tools, was me talking and then, about the energetic side of things, and then Javier talking about the shamanic side of things, and realising it all came together. It was like the web of energetic connections. So, this is why I, very much wanted to have Javier and Jess offering their work via Acorn to Oak, because it just fitted in, like two, different fingers in a glove. It really was, and therefore, was completely and utterly thrilled that, Javier, honoured me with the fact that of saying that I was a maestro in my own right, and just in a different way, and that was a fantastic feedback for me. But handing over back to Matthew, just because we'll be coming up nearly to the hour soon, just so that he can put in his penny's worth.
Yeah, I'm just super excited that they're going to be doing stuff over here or online. Because I think one thing that's really been interesting is someone asked me the question: how how do they work online if it's spiritual? And it's kind of like, and if you need to know, look up omnipresence. Because, as Penny will agree, it's something we use if we do an online breath work, and it's something that Javier does when they're doing their training, anything online. It's like they're in the room with you. When we're talking energy, there's no difference between it being in front of you and it being the other side of the world. If everything's in energy, it will find its way there. So it's like we forget there's highways of energy across the world that you can instantly access. And again, it's something that we can all do. We've just forgotten. But yeah, literally can't wait for the treatments to start. So if you're interested, just keep your eyes peeled. All the information will be on the website. So I highly recommend it.
Okay, well, it's great. We finally got it done. Hey! So, have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next week. In the meantime, take care. You know, we love you. We're with you, and you're never alone.
Be good, stay safe.